Nunca digas la palabra chaqueta en Mexico. These are 13 Spanish words and phrases I learned to never say after living in Mexico. When you avoid all of these, you will save yourself from a lifetime of embarrassment, like when I accidentally called myself an ano in front of my best friend's entire family. And number 13 is arguably the worst one of all. So let's start with chaqueta. When I first moved to Mexico, I thought that the word chaqueta just meant jacket. And it does in other Spanish-speaking countries. But in Mexico, this word has a sexual connotation. So instead of saying chaqueta, use the word chamarra for jacket. For example, me gusta tu chamarra. So chamarra instead of chaqueta. Now, be very careful with the word güey in Mexico. You might be thinking, but Nate, isn't the word güey used all the time in Mexico and doesn't it just mean dude? Yes, you are correct. But unfortunately, I have seen people get into the bad habit of using the word güey for anyone and everyone. Never call someone that you do not know güey. It's disrespectful and can get you some dirty looks. When speaking with friends, feel free to use the word güey. So it's very common that when you're with friends, you can just say, ¿Qué onda, güey? ¿Cómo estás, güey? But never use it with people that you don't really know. Now, the next phrase is one a lot of people say without knowing its true meaning. If you want to learn Spanish faster, click the link in the video description or go to SpanishWithNate.com to join our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Do you freeze up during conversations? Is it hard for you to understand native speakers because they speak so fast? If so, the Academy is the perfect place for you to finally learn real Spanish. We have more than 700 students getting results in the real world, and we're currently offering a big discount on our annual plan. Go to SpanishWithNate.com or click the link in the video description to join today. If a Mexican ever asks you, ¿Te gusta comer chile? Never say sí. They are not asking you if you like to eat spicy food. They are asking you if you like to eat something else. What shape does a chile have? I think you know where I'm going with this. So don't say me gusta comer chile if you want to say that you like eating spicy food. If you want to say that you like eating spicy food, just say me gusta comer comida picante. Please be aware that Mexicans absolutely love to joke around, and they especially love jokes with double meanings. So be careful. When you want to tell someone that you're American or from the United States of America, do not say yo soy americano. Instead, say soy de Estados Unidos or yo soy estadounidense. While we call ourselves Americans in the US, technically someone from Canada or Mexico or Guatemala are also Americans. So you should say yo soy estadounidense instead of saying yo soy americano. And if you don't want people to know that you're from the United States, just say yo soy de Canadá. If you're excited about something, say estoy emocionado. Do not say estoy excitado. That means you're a different kind of excited, a hot and bothered kind of excited. Spanish and English share many false friends, or words that appear to be the same but actually have different meanings. For example, the words asistir and atender. You would think that asistir means to assist, but it's actually flipped. Asistir means to attend, and atender means to assist. This can be confusing, but the word excitado doesn't come close to the last word on this list that you should not say in Mexico. I hear people say the word actualmente all the time in Spanish, thinking that it means actually. The word actualmente means currently or nowadays in Spanish. Now, of course, we use this all the time in Mexico, but be careful. Don't say actualmente when you're trying to say actually. If you want to say actually, just use the phrase de hecho. Or you could also use the word realmente. For example, de hecho, Le voy a dar un like a este video porque es genial. Stop saying hola, ¿cómo estás? Every time you greet someone in Spanish. Of course, we do say hola, ¿cómo estás? In Mexico. But you are going to sound way more pro if you just say to people buenos días or buenas tardes or buenas noches. I hear foreigners do this all the time in Mexico. They'll be walking on the street, they'll say hi to someone, and they'll say, hola, ¿cómo estás? Most people in Mexico would just say buenos días or buenas tardes or buenas noches. So let's say you go to a restaurant for breakfast. You approach the hostess, and instead of saying hola, ¿cómo estás? Or ¿cómo está? You can just say buenos días. Buenos días, una mesa para dos, por favor. You could also say buen día, which means good day. The word after this one embarrassed the heck out of me, but first, make sure you're careful with the word mande. Now, many Mexicans will tell you that it is completely fine and normal to use the word mande in Mexico, which it is. Mande in modern Mexican Spanish just means sorry or what. So if you don't hear someone, you say, mande? ¿Cómo? ¿Qué? Mande? I didn't hear you. Could you say that again? However, the history of the word mande comes from when indigenous Mexicans would say to Spanish conquistadores, mande or mándeme, literally command me or order me to do something. That's why I prefer to use the word como instead of mande when asking what or sorry. So if I don't hear what you said, instead of saying mande, I could say ¿cómo? ¿Cómo? What? ¿Qué dijiste? ¿Cómo? Careful when it comes to pronunciation in Spanish. Many times I hear people use the word ano, meaning anus, when what they really want to say is año, meaning year. I made this mistake once in front of my friend Luis's entire family. I saw something on the TV that said soy sano, so I tried to say soy sano, but instead I ended up saying soy ano. So, if you want to say that you're 26 years old, make sure that you say tengo 26 años instead of anos, because then you would say I have 26 anuses. A lot of people are taught the word gafas in school for glasses. However, in Mexico, we most commonly use the word lentes for glasses. And if you want to say sunglasses, you just say lentes de sol, literally glasses of sun. For example, oye Nate, qué chidos son tus lentes de sol. Don't say vale when you want to say okay in Mexico. Yes, people do use the word vale in Mexico, but it's more common to hear words and phrases like sale or va or va que va or está bien. And you can also just say okay. Like I said, you can say vale in Mexico, but it's more common to hear it in a country like Spain. In fact, when I used to live in Spain, when I would walk down the street, I would constantly hear people using the word vale. Sí, vale, vale. Sí, very common. The word embarazada does not mean embarrassed in Spanish. The word embarazada means pregnant. So do not say estoy embarazada when you are embarrassed. Instead, you can say qué pena, which would translate to how embarrassing. Now, technically, we also have the word embarazoso, which actually does mean embarrassing, but don't worry about it for now. I don't want to confuse you. And finally, never say the word coger in Mexico. In Spain, this just means to take. So, for example, vamos a coger el autobús. We are going to take the bus. However, in Mexico, that sentence has a very different meaning. Let's just say that we use the verb coger in Mexico when talking about something that two people do when they really love each other. If you want to say to take in Mexico, use the verb tomar. And the verb tomar can also mean to drink. For example, vamos a tomar unas chelas. If you want to say to grab, you can use the verb agarrar. Here are all of the words and phrases that we learned in today's video. I think you'll like this video. Click here to watch it now. Click it. Please, I'm just here, awkwardly waiting for you to click it. Okay. Adios.